Today we are going to finish Rivers Rising. Remember yesterday we ended where Josh, Mom, and Buddy were inside the houseboat and the houseboat started floating downriver because the mooring line broke, right? So first we're going to go over some words that you all might need help with on our reading for the day. They swam out to the sandbar and rested upon it before they swam back. What do you think a sandbar might be? Ben?
It's kind of like if you're at the beach and it's like right near the water.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a shore or like a little piece of land, right? Using the tiller, he steered the boat away from the rocks. What do you think the tiller might be? Keegan?
Like the houseboat?
Kind of. It's the part of the boat that steers it, right? The tiller's the little, almost like fin-like thing, okay? Although the rudder is very small, it turns the largest ships. What is a rudder? Hint, airplanes have one similar. Does a different thing, but still. Ben?
A rudder is like if you had pirates would have rudders and it was a piece of wood that it would move a certain way and that would help the boat turn.
Right. So they help turn the boat. Okay? They were able to salvage most of their things after the tornado. What do you think salvage means? Samara?
I forgot.
Bella?
Like they were able to save most of their things.
Right. They were able to save or find most of their things. So they said after a tornado, so picture like a house got destroyed by a tornado, or it got damaged, but they were able to go in and save most of their things. Okay. All right, go to page 20 in the textbook, and we are finishing the reading for today of Rivers Rising. Crab Island, he said thoughtfully. At his mother's questioning look, Josh said, "We can use the current itself to swing us into the south end of the island." "But that's a sandbar." "Not anymore," Josh said. "It'll be covered with water just like in everything else around here. Only that sandbar is good and high. The water will be shallow. And the island will block the current," Ma whispered. "Partly," Josh said. "Anyway, I think the boat'll slow down long enough for us to get some lines around the live oaks. You'll have to help though, Ma. We'll need to get 2 lines tied at once." Ma nodded. "I'll get ready." Josh went outside as Ma tucked blankets around Buddy. She stuffed extra ones down the side of the crib for padding. Leaning down, she kissed him softly and then went to the door. Outside, Josh was at the tiller, dodging floating logs and planks whenever he could. Ahead, the black mass of Crab Island loomed out of the dark. Quickly, Ma tied new ropes to the ends of the houseboat, leaving them in neat coils. She tucked her skirt around her legs and tied it tightly. The boat slid swiftly along the island. Josh edged in closer, letting underbrush and branches drag at the sides of the roof. The boat slowed slightly as it neared the south end of the island. "Ready, Ma?" Josh saw Ma glance back at the door. If the boat got away from them, Buddy would go through the bottleneck alone. Ma's lips moved, and Josh knew she was praying. Josh shoved the tiller hard. He heard a sharp crack as the houseboat swung to the right with a jar. That almost took Josh to his knees. It slid across the sandbar into shallow water. "Now, Ma." Josh and Ma grabbed the coils of the rope and jumped. Water splashed into Josh's face as he plunged toward shore. Behind him, he could feel the houseboat turning slowly as the current from the other side of the island reached for it. Josh ran desperately, fighting the water. He reached the first tree and flung his rope around it. Three times he wound the rope before tying it. Then he scrambled across the wet underbrush to Ma, struggling. They tied the last knot. The houseboat steadied, rocked gently, and was still. Josh and Ma fell into each other's arms, laughing and crying at once. When they scrambled back onto the boat, Buddy was screaming. Ma took the crying baby out of the crib and held him. When his crying had settled into hiccups, she knelt down beside the crib and began to thank the Lord for saving their lives. Josh knelt beside her, weak and shaky with relief. After he had checked the lines once more, Josh lay down on the rug and slept. He did not awake again until he felt the morning sun dancing on his face through the window. "You were so tired I let you sleep," Ma said. Buddy padded over and toppled onto Josh. "Up," he gurgled, "up." "Come look," Ma said. Josh looked up and stood up and followed her to the door. Water covered the land around them as far as they could see. To the south of them the river flowed swiftly but more calmly than before. Sunlight glinted off the water and off bits and pieces carried by the current. It's quit rising," Ma said softly. "Pa'll find us as soon as he can. He'll be proud of you, son." Josh turned his head. "I'd better repair the boat then. I thought it was going to rip apart when I ran it under the trees." Josh spent the rest of the morning repairing the boat. First, he hammered back the boards that had been torn by the branches. Then he patched jagged edges and loose shutters. Josh knew that the sharp cracks he had heard had been the rudder. He could do nothing about that, except be thankful that it had only cracked, not broken. It was late afternoon when Josh saw a boat approaching. Quickly he called to Ma. "Pa's coming." Ma, Josh, and Buddy were calling across the water as soon as Pa came within hearing distance. Pa was grinning as he tied up next to the boat. "Hold on," he said. He looked over the mooring lines without speaking. Then he said, "Somebody told me this morning there was a houseboat down here. I figured out what had happened when I saw the landing." He listened to Ma's account of the night and then put his arm around Josh. "Son, thank God you kept a clear head." Josh hesitated. "I broke the rudder." Pa began to laugh. "What's a rudder compared to my family? You can help me start a new one tomorrow." "Come in and eat," Ma said. You look like you can hardly stand up." "I'm tired, all right," Pa said, "but we got everybody moved. When the river settles a little more, I'll go back and help the folks salvage some of their things." He removed his cap and put it on Josh's head. "And Josh can go with me. It'll be good to have a real riverman along." So Josh was nervous to tell his dad he broke the rudder, right? But his dad was proud of him because even if his dad had been there, the rudder probably would have broke, right? The rudder broke because of the water and the strain of it. It wasn't something Josh did. It was just something that happened. And even if it was something Josh did, Josh had the idea of tying it up and how to do it and where to do it, right? So Josh saved his mom, him, and his family. And so then his dad wasn't mad, right? His dad knew that he did his best. Does that make sense? Okay. Get out your workbooks and go to page 9 for me. Go ahead and put your textbooks away. Go to page 9. Alright, when you get to page 9, you are going to be doing this page and turning it in. Make sure your name is on it. Read the sentences and decide why the characters acted the way that they did. Circle the letter of the correct answer. That's what you're doing with 1 through 6 up at the top. For 1 through 7 at the bottom, you are circle the correct houseboat to show whether each statement is true or false. So these are true or false statements. You need to circle the boat under true if it's true, the boat under false if it's false. Don't be working on this till I say to. Then, on the back, you are going to be using your Bible, and you are going to be filling in these blanks. So it says, read the following verses from your Bible. Answer the questions by placing one letter in each blank. So you will read 1 Peter 5:7, and then it said, after you read that verse, the question is, about whom does the Lord care? And you're going to put it on the line, okay? Make sense? All right. You are going to have your name on it, and you are going to turn it in. The back side is going to be used as good practice and a good way to use your Bible as a tool. The front is what's going to be graded. Make sense? All right.